Just a little bit more about me. I have been in the creative space for quite a while. Since 2003, my husband and I started the business that we're in together. And I have hired many different types of creative people over the years and have been around and involved in either producing video or logos or creating documentaries, a lot of different types of things. And so the 7 universal principles of design to unlock our creative potential, that's what we're talking about today. And really, there's just so many different design principles that go across a variety of mediums. But before I get started, I always like to know who my audience is. And so I want you to do what I call a little bit of fingertip networking. Put in the chat where you're from, what you do in the creative space. If you're an artist, a musician, a producer, just tell me what it is that you do in your space. And also, by the time we're done, I would love for you to include your LinkedIn link if you have one, or some way that we can connect beyond this. And I'll save the chat out and I'll reach out to you in some way or another. And because I also have a gift for all of you who are participating. So with that said, let me just continue on here. So the 7 design principles, let's move that out of my screen. Yeah, tell me what mediums you work with and what kind of artist that you are. Okay. While you do that in the chat, I'll just keep going here and fill you full of all kinds of wonderful things in your brain. But the universal design principles, and people say different things in kind of similar meanings. So I put different words that kind of mean similar things, right? So number 1, we'll go through it, is emphasis and or dominance. Number 2 is balance, unity, harmony, or alignment. Number 3, contrast. Number 4, similarity or repetition. Number 5 is proportion. Number 6 is movement. And number 7, white space. All right. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for filling my chat full of wonderful things. We've got teachers, photography. We've got a reporter, television news, yep. I used to work in TV. I was the newscast director behind the scenes. In fact, that's how my husband and I met, is he was my technical director and I was the director. Anyway, long story short, that was a long time ago. But yeah, now we have a business and kids and all that kind of thing together. News can be dangerous. Anyway, let's see. Art teacher, wonderful. TV production. Yep. Okay. Oh, Minnesota. That's where my family, part of my family is from Minnesota. I think I said it right. In Canada, eh? Very cool. Good. Looking to go into PR. Thank you for sharing. And for those of you who haven't, feel free to continue to add to the screen. Okay, so what is emphasis or dominance? A lot of people, have different names for different things. So depending on what part of the country or world you're in, it can be named different things. So I tried to keep it very universal. But so causes certain parts of design to stand out, and also can be used to minimize how an element stands out. So just a example, creating a focal point. It can use sizes or font choices, color combinations that create contrast. And this, of course, is a universal across all different mediums that you're using, right? Because there's something about the emphasis or something that's going to stand out or be pointed out. When you look at a design, it's got something that's going to be where it's drawing your eye to that attention that it wants to capture. The artist wants you to capture that attention from that dominance or emphasis that it's utilizing, right? So thinking of that too. So the 3 main stages of dominance in design. Dominance is the object or of primary emphasis given the most visual weight. Subdominance is the object emphasis typically found in the middle ground. And then subordinate, the object of the tertiary emphasis typically found is in the background. So thinking about, if you can visualize with me for a second, like what's something that you can think of that might have those different types of traits? Well, in advertising and, obviously different mediums that we use, there's just different areas of focus and different things that people will utilize to emphasize the different things that are there. So here's an example, the subway billboard, if you will. And it's using colors, it's using size, it's using a focal point. In this case, the different sandwich pieces are its focal point. So it's kind of an interesting combination of how we would dominate the screen or dominate the billboard or whatever it is that we're utilizing here. So the next step is balance and unity. And it's how well the element of design work together. Visual unity has really been said to be kind of the main goal of design, right? Although that opinion can differ among designers and certain design communities, right? Unity or harmony refers to the relationship between the individual parts and the whole of a composition. When it's the composition's elements are all in agreement, there exists unity. When the elements aren't in agreement, a composition is said to have variety, right? So same color, same variety, same sizes, same everything, or harmony or balance. But it can have, if it's variety, it's maybe same size, but different colors. Those are some examples, right? So yeah, each element will have kind of that clear visual relationship with each other and the elements to communicate a strong message, okay? And here's some fun examples. Okay, in the chat, tell me what logos these are, just for fun. What is the symmetry, the balance and unity of the logos? What logos do we have showing here on the left? Just for fun. I thought they were pretty universal. So we've got Starbucks, Target. Cynthia says Coach. Is that Chanel? I think it is. Good. Excellent. And then asymmetry, asymmetrical or out of balance or maybe informal balance, right? So we've got the Pepsi logo, right? Yeah, and so an example of something that's asymmetric, but still maybe it's informal balance. There's some balance to it, but not quite. Yeah, so symmetrical when the objects are arranged around a vertical or horizontal axis, and the objects are arranged around a central point known as a radial symmetry. So Target obviously has, symmetrical balance, right? And then asymmetrical is when the objects are arranged unevenly around a vertical axis or horizontal axis. And then typically there's one dominant side or element in the asymmetrical composition of what you're looking at. So those are some fun samples. Okay. So now the next one is contrast, the difference between various elements within a design. And basically it refers to how elements in a composition differ. This principle kind of is often paired with the principles of similarity, which is how composition elements resemble each other. So contrast can be established by using different design elements with color, space, form, size, texture, and the different layouts that you can do. So those are some samples of what you could look like for those design. And why contrast is important. A lot of animations that we see, or a lot of any kind of imagery, contrast is a lot of what is used in the design elements across the board, right? And to point out, contrast makes something brighter or dimmer or duller, or something that you can see more of because it's in contrast. Or the contrast, you want to adjust your TV and you want to adjust the contrast, it's going to change the picture and the outcome, right? So just thinking about what that is. And then photography and all of the wonderful apps that are out there now, you can adjust the contrast on what that will be before you post it onto social media. So yeah, and here's kind of a fun example. It's a little bit old, imagery from the iPod, but was very memorable for me. So this is one thing that in contrast, you can use different types of what comes in focus, what doesn't, color, and what stands out. So just an example of how Apple used contrast in their advertising to make their product stand out. So now you've got the focus on the product as well. Okay, so continuing on here. So next up is similarity and repetition. And by the way, if you have questions along the way, you're welcome to chat me in that and help see if I can answer those questions for you. So in repetition, you see it in architecture. You can see repetition in many, many, many things that are out there. I've got a fun example for you, but it really reinforces an idea or perception. Same format for headers, reusing same colors or images in different things that you're doing in a variety of areas. So repetition. So CocaCola does a good job of exemplifying similarity and repetition in their advertisements. They share a Coke campaign was really popular around the world, so hopefully it's universal enough. But just showing how effective similarity and repetition in design can have on an impact in productizing, or just you're familiar with the brand, you're familiar with what it looks like, the shape, the form, and similarity or repetition. Share a Coke. So yeah, that's the idea there. And then we've got next up is the proportion. It's a size or element in relationship to one another. And larger elements tend to be seen as more important, while smaller elements maybe not so much, right? So it really refers to the visual weight and the size of the whole compositions element and how they relate to each other. So it's also kind of known as scale, right? Up and down and scale all around, right? So the size of one's object can be emphasized based on how big it is or what the focal point is, or maybe some movement along the composition. Also, varying sizes of objects can help communicate the importance or dominance of one element over another, right? So those are some things to think about as well. Let's see here. Here's a size claim. Big is a relative term in this case. It's relatively small. But look at the Whopper compared to what is presumably maybe the Big Mac or something else from another place. But Burger King pretty much goes right after its competition, using portion to emphasize their burger over its competitor's burger. But you are, utilizing size as a way to convey a message. And so yeah, proportion is definitely along those lines, right? Let's see here. And what is movement? The way a person's eyes travel over the design, right? Movement is the visual path a viewer follows when viewing a composition. With proper movement, a composition can create a narrative, right? And movement, there's all kinds of things to apply here with movement and provide that user experience with movement, and can be established utilizing design elements like lines or shapes and colors, right? And movement, this is where video comes in too, and utilizing, even if it's photography and you want to move in or zoom in on a photo, or you want to emphasize something that is important, what do? You move it forward, or you can put everything else out of focus and move the things that you want to be in focus, and or where, whatever design element you're using, right? Examples of movement. This is Michael Jordan and in movement in how the design is laying out, right? Water or a filter that it basically exemplifies movement. Even though this is a still photo, you see that he is moving. All of his muscles are engaged, and the way that it looks, it's moving, right? And so, this is Kobe Bryant. Sorry, I said the wrong person there. I meant Kobe Bryant. I apologize. Nike uses a lot of movement in their advertisements. And those are some things here. So I'm going to just show a video that we did that exemplifies movement. Let me make sure it's going to share the sound. Let's see here. Here we go. Just, just a kind of like what's happening in this case. It's audio agnostic, whether you hear the audio or not. I think you'll understand what's going on. And it's all about the movement. So let's just share this. So we really wanted to see, we wanted to put something on social media that you didn't necessarily have to hear words being said, because everyone doesn't always turn up the audio, right? So it's the movement of music, but it's edited to the beat of the music, and it's telling a story. And we wanted a different way to announce that they're having a ribbon cutting or open house, or like a, celebration. And so we played this video on social media, on their website, sharing it out there to people. And, it's about moving and getting to where we want people to go. So there's a lot of different elements in there, just kind of demonstrating some things that we were talking about, right? So yeah, I mean, in thinking about how space and movement and music and everything can work. Next slide. There we go. Just along the lines of just kind of showing how the pictures can be told, or stories can be told, and how you can put this all together. I have another example for you. Here we go. So just an example of space and utilizing all the different elements that we're talking about in motion and photos and moving to focus and composition, of where we can utilize those different areas of design. And then of course, white space is next. The area of design that really has no design elements, right? The whole purpose of white space is just making a cluttered mess an uncluttered mess, right? And you can use fun things with white space and negative space, right? It refers to that empty part of the composition where white space can help organize the elements in that composition to really emphasize other roles that are a part of that composition, right? Excuse me. It also creates kind of this aura of luxury or minimalism. Apple is notorious for white space, right? Excuse me. That's why I'm muted. I have, there's a lot of smoke in the air around here, so my allergies are really acting up. I apologize. So high quality brands, such as Apple, rely on their products' intrinsic value more, and in their case, less is more. And that additional design, it will adding to it, right? They want less is more to help you focus on what they feel is obviously the most important part of their design is the product. And all of their design will communicate that, right? Across the board, it's consistent in their branding and what they do. And starting from their website to their display banner ads to even their phones themselves, right? That was always the emphasis is the design, right? That's why a lot of us designers and people who are in the industry, and I mean, like all of my people use Mac products, right? Or I have a MacBook Pro right now that I'm utilizing. So of course, you know, white space helps put that emphasis on and spotlighting on their product, right? Some design that we used, it's, you know, kind of, even though this is gray, you could consider it white space or negative space, right? And how you can reverse the, you know, the angles. So we were hired by a local Memphis school district here to rebrand their logo. Literally, there was kids in their logo that were now, you know, 25 years old, even though when the logo had created were imagery of them when they were in elementary school, right? But yeah, we refreshed it, and there were several objectives of what we had to do with this space. You'll notice that she's actually achieving, not just reaching for the star, but she's getting the star. She's achieving it because she's going to Memphis School District. And we wanted to represent both male and female. That's where the ponytail comes in. You know, nowadays it doesn't matter. It can be universal. You know, my son has long hair, so it doesn't matter. But we wanted to showcase differences of you know, students that are attending there. The other thing is that the Nampa School District has 3 different high schools, and the colors of the high schools are all actually represented in this. So Nampa High has red, white, and blue. Columbia has gold and maroon, and Skyview has blue and silver. And so if you look at this, this is kind of representing all the different colors of the school district's high schools as well as the, you know, all the other schools that kind of go in alignment with those schools that are in the Nampa School District. You know, we utilized this. We did focus groups and surveys and really got a lot of input from the people that were a part of it. And this logo turned out this way after many iterations and many different things. But I think the idea and the concept is easy to interpret. It's inspiring and it's clean. And that was what we were going for. And now they utilize this across the whole district. It's on their websites. It's on their logo wear. It's on everything. There's their signage at the district office. But the idea here is just to kind of show that negative space being utilized and understanding what that is. So anyway, some other examples of how to use the principles of design. A design doesn't have to strictly follow the rules to be good, right? Of course, we all interpret what we feel is good, you know, but some absolutely mind-blowing designs ignore one or more of these principles and in order to catch your eye to make it an effective work. So did you immediately read the first line as Thebe? Or did your eye jump to the bottom line where the M from moved is isolated on a different line than the rest of the word? The design is clearly breaking the rules of design principles, right? The rules of movement and alignment, but because of the designer's confidence and use of bold, contrasting color schemes and a repetitive structure, your eye easily guided to the title of an author of the book. But you can't, when you first look at this, some of you may or may not have immediately figured out what it said when you very first looked at it. The Bed Moved by Rebecca Schiff, designed by Janet Hansen. This is one of the most lauded books covers of 2016. The important information is communicated, but that jarring moment of slight confusion is what made this design so revolutionary and rewarding. How many of you, you don't have to necessarily admit to this on chat, but I mean, did you figure out what it said? Like the moment you popped, I mean, it was confusing for a second. You had to really study it almost and understand where things are going. And you know, it makes you chuckle because you're like, okay, what am I looking at? And all of these things are breaking the rules, right? For those of us who want to have an orderly, an aligned composition, we want to make sure that things are the way that they're supposed to be. But this is what truly made it stand out, right? And she could have chosen so many different ways to convey the title of the book, right? But she chose something that obviously became something that was talked about. So anyway, so the utilizing the design elements and how we can use these, the elements of design should really be viewed as moving parts, which can be combined to tell that story, whether you have words or not, or whether you just have music or you are just showing visuals, right? As you approach your design project, you have to familiarize yourself with these principles so that you know when you're breaking the rules or not, right? To then help you create your own style. And, only then can you be able to break those rules the way you want to do it to create your own signature style of what it is that you're going to do, right? And how that is going to operate. And so thinking about what you can do to utilize these different design principles and the different mediums that you do, whether you're a TV producer or, putting together the story, right? How it's going to come together and what you're going to edit or show or put in the news as a story that you're going to run in the air, or if you're, excuse me, or if you're a teacher, what are you going to teach to your students, your art students, about the different design principles and how you can showcase those things to them and get them to understand the different design principles. And maybe they can show you different elements of what that would look like for each of those designs, whether it's balance or movement, or if you're utilizing you're composing music, right? How that balance and composition can come together, and whether you're, emphasizing and focusing on something that's going to play, or an instrument that's going to play louder than the rest, or if it's going to be a solo piece or not, or what you're trying to convey in that story, and the visuals that go along with it too. Because of the pandemic, we helped our local orchestra called the Boise Philharmonic do their concert digitally, because no one could go into the stages because of COVID, right? No one could go into not stages, but no one could go in as an audience. No one could go into the theaters, right? And so, or the auditoriums or any place. So the musicians, all socially distanced and safe, and we had to, put the audio where it needed to go, and any elements of decoration, and plus we could only have a certain amount of people on the stage and a certain amount of people recording it and doing all these things. And so we had to get pretty creative about what we could do to have visual elements going on with what was playing in the music, and then editing all of those videos together, all the different cameras that were shooting the musicians, and a lot of just different things to think about, and how the music is being edited, if it's a big crescendo and things are happening, like what visually, and how does a sound, how do you edit that sound together and mix it all together. And so that's a huge example of what we did for this, during the pandemic, and how we could still convey the story that was being told through music, right? And so people could digitally watch the concerts, and we could still keep the musicians and our crew employed, during this interesting time that we're living in. But just thinking about how you're going to utilize these and how it's going to come across and be shared with the world, and how you can use that. Okay, so something I want you to, I'm going to share this little video here. Here we go. It's just the creative types test. You can discover your creative personality. And by knowing this, maybe you will be able to utilize the, here, I'm going to give you the link in your chat. And you can take a moment and see what type of creative personality you have. And I'll just be curious to see what kind of creative types we've got. And I'll share with mine what mine is, but you can go take this little test. It's just from Adobe. It's free. And so you can, take this test here. I'll stop screen. Once I start seeing your creative types, if you care to share in the chat, I'll know that you have completed your little test here. Emily says she's a dreamer. I love it. I'm kind of going through it too, just for timing reasons. It's kind of fun to see what they've done. And you can look at all the design elements that they've employed. Thank you. My husband just gave me coffee. Okay, almost, well, let's see. We've got a dreamer, producer. And my dog wants to participate too. Almost there. I should play some music, huh? Hey, Piper. Come here. This is Piper. She wants to participate with us. Hi, sweetheart. Okay, you gotta go that way. Oh, we've got another dreamer. We've got a visionary. Now the question is, do you agree with your diagnosis of what was given to you, right? And how can you use that to your advantage when you're producing your compositions or whatever it is that you're creating? Just a little bit more time here. I'm taking it again. We'll see if I get the same result as I did earlier. Excuse me. I don't have COVID. I'll tell you that. I've been vaccinated. I just have a cough, dang it. It's interesting though, because not everybody got sick or anything. It's just that I think that the allergies and everything that's going on is crazy in the air. Okay, I think we're wrapping up here. Give me my result. I want to see if it's the same thing. Yep, I'm still a visionary. I guess even if you take it more than once, you might get the same thing. Full of big ideas, ability to see potential and possibility everywhere is my strengths. Untapped potential, using your vision to fuel constant daily action. And you live in a world of infinite possibilities, preferring to see things not as they are, but as they could be. You know that life is limited only by the boundaries of your own beliefs, and you are driven to push the limits of well, everything. Emotional, passion-driven, and full of ideas, the visionary combines a vivid imagination with a desire of practical solutions. Your introspective and intuitive nature is balanced by a keen interest in the world around you and a desire to contribute to society. So you can download your creative type at the bottom, and you can share it out, my creative, using the hashtag my creative type. It's just super fun, right? To see a little bit into who you are and how you operate. And my last session I did, you'll have to go back and watch it if you haven't, but it's unlocking your creative potential. And we talked about the different personality tests and types of how you work together and how you can communicate to others based on your how you operate, right? And what you do as a either a designer or a producer or a musician or whatever that is. And thank you. So let's go back to this really quick so we can continue on here. We're almost done. Oops, here we go. So just to summarize what you may have, I have a gift for all of you. That was part of what we promised. We have created during the pandemic, my staff, we lost some clients, so I needed them to do something productive, and we needed to do something to help people in any way we could. And so we created the Marketing Expedition community to go on a journey, whether it's personal branding, whether it's company branding, whether it is something that you need to help you build your brand and your bottom line, whether you're for-profit, nonprofit, or whatever it is that you are doing. Even if it's you trying to get a new job interview or working with another crew or getting new work, we created this community to help and encourage and be, sometimes people can't afford an agency, right? So we wanted to do this for people to be able to learn and grow. And I'm a professor, so I teach, and I also, have the agency. So we wanted to do webinars and podcasts and articles that can help people through their marketing journey, if you will. So anyway, this is what this is. You can go to themarketingexpedition.com, use promo code GIFTMONTH, and you get 1 month for free. There's a QR code. You can screenshot it or go to the website if you would like. But yeah, the idea here is that you are given something that you can continue to utilize to help you in your in your journeys and what it is that you're doing and however you're utilizing your creativity and how we can help you in some way. So I'm going to put it in the chat for you. And there is also the podcasts that we do. I do interviews with people, and I'm going to put all these links in there for you. Just as resources. As creative people, sometimes we need an additional way to network and connect and be able to work with others and collaborate and do that. So my gift also to you is I have a weekly podcast, and I interview people all over the world in different walks of life. And we talk about the Marketing Expedition. We talk about a variety of things about them, about their journey that they're on, and what mediums they're using and how they use them, and the tools and technologies and celebrations and opportunities out there. So there's a bunch of different links for you to connect with each other. I mentioned earlier about fingertip networking. If you want to share your LinkedIn with others, do so. LinkedIn, I think, is a great tool for professionals to connect, and you are welcome to connect with me on my LinkedIn and all the different socials to help. And I also am very happy to talk to you if you want to schedule a time for 15 minutes to chat about what you're doing and how you're doing and how you might need want some advice. I don't know, run it by me, or even just to meet with us, because we need to connect and engage and be a part of our community together. And I know Maxim has the creative community that we can all connect on and be a part of something, whether it's showing and sharing with me what your work is that you do, or vice versa, right? Connecting in this platform and what we're doing is going to help us continue to disrupt, connect, and inspire. Those are our words that we chose that represent what we do. We want to disrupt the audience. We want them to see what we're doing and look at what we've created for them. We want them to, of course, connect with us and be inspired by what we do and our work that we do. So I will open that up to questions. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you in your journey, please do reach out, let me know, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we will continue to collaborate and create together globally. Now, that's what this situation has done for us, is we can connect all over the world and be a part of something greater than just our own little communities. So I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with you the 7 universal design principles that will unlock your creative potential. Thank you so much.